Do you think being vulnerable is something difficult for you to do, something negative? That type of weakness, or even that you become a hostage of the person that you love when you're true to them, when you're vulnerable to them. Do you think if you really open up and the person knows how much you love them, do you think they are now gonna control you? They now are gonna use these things against you? If you think being vulnerable is hard, then you're in the right place. We gotta change that. We gotta fix that about you, okay? And what if I tell you that being vulnerable is really the best thing you can be in love, and it makes you stronger, more creative, happier, and much more human, much more true. So what else? If you learn to be vulnerable with safe people in your life, then you will learn to receive love and give love and love in a deeper way. So vulnerability is the key to a lot of doors in your life. And today in our life, that's what we're going to talk about. How to improve your vulnerability, your relationships, how to make your relationships better. And this is all based on the book of Brene Brown, Daring Greatly. It's a very good book. It's a great bestseller. And for many of us, we believe that being vulnerable is something extremely difficult. It seems totally uncertain, frightening, and we feel that we are disappointed when we do it. Because it is clear to us that being vulnerable is dangerous. And that only happened because you were vulnerable with dangerous people, right? Who are dangerous people? Let's already start there. Dangerous people are people that use information you're giving them against you in fights. They are going to take that little chip, hold that little thing, and then whenever you mess up, they go, oh, because you are this, or people who gossip, expose your secrets, change your story. It's unfair with you. People who don't tell you about their ailments as much as you tell them. People who do not open up. People that are not vulnerable. They don't speak their truth. They speak from a logic place and not from their heart. People who are liars, cheaters, manipulative people, two-faced people, envious people. Those are people that are dangerous. People that only know to criticize. People who do not respond to our friendships in the same way that we do. We're always giving more than they give us, right? So these are dangerous people. Let's talk about chapter 5 today. And the name of chapter 5, and I love it, it's called Mind the Gap. Yes, I love the metaphor that she uses. When you go to a metro, what's the name in English? A subway. There's a sign that says mind the gap, right? So it's like the platform from the train. So there's a gap there, and they say just mind it, just pay attention to it, right? And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to mind the gap. We're going to find where the gap is from where you are to your vulnerability. If you go to Sao Paulo and the subway there, you're not going to find the sign because there's so many people, right? But if you're in a regular, well-organized city, metro, then you're going to see the subway, the signs, mind the gap. And all over the world, they have the same sign, mind the gap, right? The hole, there's a gap between the station and the train, right? So there's a hole there, and if you're not careful, you fall. And there's even a story of a lady, and it was recorded, a lady that she got stuck there, and then all the people that were there, the multitude of people that were there, they were pushing the train, and they got it moved so that she could take out her leg. It was a beautiful story, right? How people can be loving and kind. There's loving and kind people all over the world. But what is your gap for vulnerability, to be vulnerable? What beliefs about vulnerability make you push the person that you love away from you, to keep you from being true to and saying your truth to them? I can tell you a story about a patient of mine. That way you'll understand what the gap is, right? So this patient came to me after his divorce. He was cheated by his wife at the end of the divorce, but during his whole marriage, he was neglected in love. So he would ask for love. He would complain to her, "Hey, give me attention, stay with me, let's have sex," and all these things. But she would never respond appropriately. She would never really be there for him in love and appreciate him. And what he would do is even try harder. So he would clean up, he would cook for the kids, even after they had the kids, it was even worse, right? So then he kept on working harder for this marriage, for these kids, for everything, but he would never be enough for her. And so what we found in our therapy is that he learned that love is about giving nonstop, and also requiring. So always asking, attacking, and all these negative things that would not pull her back in, right? So he would have to complain and ask and point her faults and take up the house and take care of everything and clean, and so that she shows some kind of gratitude or interest in him. So it was very, very sad. But whenever he would talk to me about her, he would never speak from a heart place, but he would rather speak from his logic place. It sounded, and I told him this, it sounded as though he was talking about somebody sick in the hospital, not him. Like somebody's victimized, but not him. So I would say, you're not talking from your heart, you're speaking from the logic, from what you learned from your experience. And so I showed him that that gap that we had in that situation was his logic. He was using it to be the victim. So he thought he was getting into the train of vulnerability, but he was being vulnerable in a way, but not speaking from his heart. So he was actually getting into the train of victimization. Oh, that's bad. So anyway, this is something that people do, right? They talk about their pain not from a heart place, but from a logical place. A place where they already thought that they kind of processed it, and now they don't want to go in that sad place anymore because it's so hard. It's a difficult place to be, and I understand that. But for those of us who want to heal, and for those of us who want to be vulnerable, you got to speak from that sad place, right? So for me, for example, I'm going to have a post coming up tonight or tomorrow, and it talks about my difficulty in love. One of my difficulties was asking for love, right? For asking for my partner to be there for me, or to hug me, I could ask for anything else. I could ask for him to bring groceries. I had no difficulty asking for him to help with the kids, help the kids with something. But for me, for my need, I could not ask for my own needs, right? So because I came from a household where if you ask for these things, then you're being selfish, or you just didn't have that voice either. I don't think you would be seen as selfish, but also you would be, what's the word? I don't know. It wasn't done. So I didn't learn to recognize what I needed to be able to communicate that and ask for that, right? So I just didn't have that voice. They didn't know what that looked like, even my parents. So it's not, not that they didn't want to do it. They just didn't know what the heck that was at all. So I was always, I've always been very independent, and that's also a problem, because if you think, and if you are very independent emotionally, you tend to show that to your partner, and whenever you have fights, saying, "Oh, I don't need you for anything," you show that, you communicate that in some way. So if you don't do this, I will leave, I will close up, I will shut down, we won't talk for days. So this is very unhealthy, and it's very dangerous in love, because it communicates fear, and it communicates a type of hurt. You're hurting the other person, right? So what happened is that I learned that in love, you ask for love. So whenever you have a person, and if you study the best couples in the world, people that know how to do love right, they literally say, "I need this. I'm sad. I need a hug. I need time with you. I need quality. I need date night. We need more sex. This is not enough for me. I'm suffering so much, and I don't want to say anything to you because of this or that." So in love, you ask for affection, for quality time, you talk about your fears. You're vulnerable, right? So this this happened also with me because I lived in a relationship where I was the last thing in his list. I wasn't a priority for him. Today I learned that healthy love asks for love, and so you repeat that and make it a mantra and learn it because it's so good. Okay. The most contradictory thing about vulnerability is that vulnerability is the last thing I want you to see in me, but the first thing I look for in you, right? So it's the last thing I'm going to show you. It's the last thing I want you to see in me, but it's the first thing that I look for in you, right? So what do okay wait so what do you do with our vulnerable what do we do with our vulnerabilities? We wear masks, we adapt, we use filters, like today I'm not showing you my imperfect skin, I'm showing you like a very nice 20-year-old skin. So we do that, we use masks. And why do we need to look better? Why do we need to look more powerful or stronger or skinnier or prettier? Because and I think in filters is not a big deal because I think it's awesome, but at the same time, in love, you gotta be real, you gotta be sincere, and if you're being sincere, you show the whole thing, right? So, oh, look, what, because I need to look more powerful or more or skinnier or better, or I need to not show my flaws because I will not be accepted with my flaws. That's not true, because you do accept other people with their flaws, right? So whenever you are trying to show something that you're not, you're actually not being yourself, and that's not good. You got to be yourself, right? And kind of stand up for who you are and your story and what you've gone through and your sufferings and your tears, and that makes you who you are, and so if you say, oh, look, I am being myself, I'll show you how you're not being yourself in love, okay? We're not ourselves in love when we hide. We hold back love when we hide our fears and our pain. When we complain too much instead of receiving whatever the partner has to offer. We're always unsatisfied with what they have to give us. Not being yourself is also about playing dirty games in love, like when we use disdain or we ignore their pain or make it less important. That's dirty, playing dirty in love, right? When we criticize, we throw things in their faces, kind of say, I gave you all of this, why don't you give me this, right? That's dirty. That's dirty play. You don't do that in love. And if you have that in your relationship, it's unhealthy and you need to change. Or change the relationship. Unfortunately, I have to say that. So when we speak our truth, then we are actually being real and we're being fair, and then they know who they are playing with, right? Show yourself. Showing yourself better than others or belittling others is another dirty play. Making others feel less than is not healthy as well. This mask or this armor we wear of is the fear of insufficiency, is the fear of inadequacy that was thrown at us at a young age, or from our culture, or from even ourselves. We think we're not good enough, and that's why we put on these masks and these armors, and we don't mind the gap, and we go to victimizing, or we go to independency world, right? So what do we do with our fears? What we actually do, Brene says that we compartmentalize, we hide it, we don't talk about it, we don't face it, and we try to forget about it. We watch videos, we get busy, we play video games, we work a lot, we do everything so that we don't feel that fear, right? If your fear is for example, if you feel less than, then usually you put other people down. If you feel dumb, then you usually communicate to others that you're very smart in some way, or even say these words. If you're afraid of being rejected, then you reject first. Or, so usually that's the opposite. Usually do the opposite of your fear. Mind the gap. Mind the gap between the platform and the train. If you're doing vulnerability, if you want to do love right, you got to mind the gap. You got to see, what is the gap? What are you missing? What is the hole, right? What is the big hole inside of you that we need to fill up with the other person's love? Obviously, the other person's not going to be able to give you everything that you need, but they can try, they can do their best, and their best is, and if you're doing your best and being real, they can also do the same thing. And that's the best that you can be yourself, right? It's who you are. So the secret here, the big secret that I'm going to tell you today, it is the gap is fear. The gap is usually based in fear. The Bible says in 1 John 4:18, it says, in love, there's no fear. On the contrary, perfect love expels fear, because fear implies punishment. He who is afraid is not perfected in love. So if you use punishment in your relationship, don't talk to them, push them away, reject them. If you use some type of punishment in your relationship, then you're not using love. You're using fear, which is not healthy. It's not good. And this is not what we want in love. And that's just going to push the person away and find someone else that will actually give them the value that they deserve. How do we push away fear? We deal with fear by talking about the things that we are fearful of. I'm afraid of not being a priority for you. I want it not to fear that you're going to leave me, but every time we have a fight, you say, I can't take it anymore. And that hurts me so deeply. Oh my God, my kid just got here. That scared me so much. He's going to come in. He has the...
Oh my God, that scared me. I'm sorry.
So if you were rejecting love and that hurts you, and your partner says, they don't talk to you for 2 days, then you can tell them, whenever that happens, I feel rejected. And that's your fear that you're going to go away and I'm not good enough for you, right? So you can say also, I feel like I won't be enough for you, because everything that I do is never enough. And every time I give you anything, you always have a but. Say something like this: I always feel like I won't be enough for you. Or I always feel like nothing that I do will ever, nothing that I'll be will ever be good enough. You can say your fear. If you talk about your fear, you're going to face your fear, and they're able to grasp it, but don't talk about it like it's a sick person in the hospital talk. You're talking, oh, my aunt is so sick. No, talk from your heart. Go to your heart and speak. This hurts me. This is very sad. And it breaks my heart that I'm never enough for you. I feel like I'm never enough for you. So it's a different thing than saying, you're so rude. You never get me. It's a completely different thing. So now, pay attention. When you are going to speak, don't speak at the time of the fight when you're angry. In anger, don't ever speak in anger. It won't be taken in. So just don't. Your frontal lobe is not even on. It's just wait. Calm down. Whenever you're stressed in a fight, just wait half an hour. Calm down. Then go back and process this properly with respect. Okay? Do not attack. Go to my series that talks about, the name of this series is oh my gosh, not how to love better. It's the other one that says the 4 horsemen and the apocalypse. The name is not that one. The things that destroy love. What destroys love? That's the name. Watch that one, because it teaches you how to communicate love better. And feel your feelings. Allow yourself to feel them before you talk to them. Kind of recognize what you're feeling. Sadness, fear, rejection. What are you feeling? Mind the gap. Mind the gap. Mind the gap. I understand what is my gap. I understand what I'm feeling, what I'm lacking. So what is it that you're lacking, right? Let's go back to what is it that you're lacking. Okay? So, oh my goodness. I am missing some words. All right. So what is the gap? I'm going to talk about some of the things that you could be missing, right? You could be missing, I don't feel adequate. I don't feel good enough. I don't feel smart enough for you. I don't feel fast enough for you. I don't feel skinny enough. I don't feel like I am priority. I don't feel, now I know what I'm feeling. So now I can communicate that to the person. Instead of saying, you're so this and you're so that, you talk about here, what's happening to your heart. Because if fear pushes away, if love pushes away all fear, that you should not use fear in love. It's not healthy, okay? Send this video to all the people that you think we could help. And stay with me for next week. We're going to try and do some questions and answers online, live. If you want to come up live with me, I'm going to do some questionnaires and I'm going to do something fun. Next month, we'll also do a game. We're going to do the connecting game where you get to send in the stories. I will send some questions that you get to send your partner so that they can answer. And you can even send it back if you think it's cute enough, if you guys approve. Talking about some intimate things, like intimacy about love, not sexual bad intimacy. And so that you learn to love better and look at your relationship in a different light. I'm also going to give you the tip of the day, things that you could do that are cheap and easy and simple to do just to make the person that you love feel more loved. And I'm very, very grateful that you're here till the end, even after we had a little gap of video. Thanks for being with me. I hope to see you next week on another video on vulnerability. Take care. Bye-bye.